U.S., Jeff Bezos and the White House are clashing again over inflation. The billionaire founder of Amazon has criticized the U.S. president for calling on companies to cut prices at fuel stations. Take a look at some of those tweets. On Saturday, Biden demanded that companies managing gas pumps decrease soaring fuel prices, quote, at a time of war and global peril. And there he says, bring down the price you're charging at the pump to reflect the cost that you're paying. Here's Bezos' response. He says, ouch, inflation is far too important a problem for the White House to keep making statements like this. It's either straight ahead misdirection or a deep misunderstanding of basic market dynamics. Karine Jean-Pierre, White House press secretary, she fired back at Jeff Bezos, saying that oil prices have fallen. Let's take a look at that tweet from Karine Jean-Pierre. Yeah, said oil prices have dropped about $15 over the past month, but prices at the pump have barely come down. That's not basic market dynamics. It's a market that is failing the American consumer. And then in a pointed tweet to Bezos, she followed up saying, but I guess it's not surprising that you think oil and gas companies using market power to reap record profits at the expense of the American people is the way our economy is supposed to work. We're joined now by our international financial analyst, Opeoluwa Dapo Thomas, to discuss these headlines. Ope, what do you make of this spat between this latest spat between the White House and Bezos?
It's a very interesting, what do I call it, situation between Jeff Bezos and the White House. This is the second time he's basically coming after Joe Biden. But the truth is that Jeff Bezos has said it all. There's a lack of market dynamics, but he's been responded to, and obviously the response is apt. So, for example, US oil has dropped by about 15% in the past months, but gasoline prices have not dropped that level. First off, we need to know that there's a correlation between gasoline prices and high oil prices. So anytime oil prices move up, gasoline prices follow suit. However, what Joe Biden is complaining about is oil prices have come down by a certain percentage. However, gasoline prices has not come down. But he doesn't understand the market dynamics. And obviously, he's coming from a country where capitalism is at best. The American economy is basically capital-driven. And obviously is designed to exploit the people, the American consumers. So coming right now is just clutching at straws or crying foul at the system that basically has is the foundation of the American economy. So you have people at the oil and gas corporations. Most of them have complained of lack of refining capacity. So the lack of refining capacity has affected a lot of their production levels. I mean, now they can only produce 100 million liters lesser than what they were producing before the pandemic levels. And there's lack of investment in the oil and gas sector in America. There's a lack of, policy direction as well. So you're not encouraged from that. You're not having to get more imports and exports, for your petroleum products. So that's the issue right they're having. So you have to take in consideration distribution costs, landing costs, freight stock, storage and all that. So Joe Biden has not really understood what really goes on in the oil and gas market. And obviously they're going to make profits. It happens in everywhere. It happens even in Nigeria where you have most of the stakeholders saying that this is how much they paid for oil at the gasoline, the petroleum products at this time. So you cannot just tell us to pay a certain amount or to reduce our pricing. Our pricing level works with what their business model. So it's very funny that he's trying to use moral situation to interfere or influence most companies' business model.
All right, still on fuel, but in the UK, how much of a disruption are you expecting from these fuel price protests?
Well, it's everywhere. I think right now, I wouldn't say we should appreciate the importance of subsidies in Nigeria, but that's why basically we are not having fuel protests in Nigeria because oil prices are going high. And I've run a multi-year bull case where we see oil prices will still remain at this level. So from my analysis, I've seen that it's very hard for oil prices to come down to two-digit levels where we'll see consumers enjoying it. So the governments will be ready to prepare for high fuel prices unless what happens in Russia obviously is being put to an end, the Russia-Ukraine crisis. So, people are being disrupted. Police have had to come in and interfere, but motorists are upset. The cost of filling a car right now is about over £100, and obviously that's eating into disposable income and living wages. And this is the issue people are having. You're not increasing pay, you're not increasing living wages. Everything is stagnant, but we have high inflation and fuel cost. And fuel cost obviously contributes a lot to the CPI index, and that's the inflation index. So at the end of the day, these are the issues that motorists are having, and it's going to cause a lot of social and civil unrest in the next few weeks.
Wow. To the wider euro area, what do you make of the ECB's warning to member countries over crypto regulation?
We've been calling for regulation in the crypto industry for a while. We've done a lot of white paper and then we've analyzed it. The reason is because we need a regulation in the crypto industry, because a lot of people are getting burnt. A lot of people are getting rug pulled, which is a term for people who are getting scammed in the crypto industry. A lot of things cannot happen under traditional finance or traditional banking methods where you just save your money in a bank and then you see your money there. But now we're now having a disruption with even stable coins. Stable coins that basically, from the name, as the name implies, should be stable. You should not have any fear your money is going. So there's threat to it. So countries have to come in with regulation to crypto industry. There has to be regulation. Not everyone should be able to start a crypto project. Not everyone should be able to have access to creating crypto and putting it out for what would I call it, the consumers, because the truth is that the ECB has a prerogative for consumer protection, and consumer protection means basically protecting the people who are at the receiving end of these financial instruments or these financial assets. So countries in Europe have to be regulated. In England, there's a lot of regulation with crypto. You have your banks who are asking you before you make any purchase or any payments, asking you if you're investing in cryptocurrency, sending out disclaimers. That has to be done. A lot of people can just come in here. Crypto has basically expanded our financial assets. What do I call it? It's basically a new thing in the financial assets management, and it has affected a lot of people. So they have to find a way to ensure that there's regulation, and people are not being duped or cheated by market makers.
Finally, about a minute to go, is Credit Suisse being unfairly punished for introducing more transparency for wealth management clients in Asia?
In Asia, there's an issue with what would I call it, source of wealth. So something we call source of wealth and KYC. KYC is know your customer. Now, these two issues are, what do I call it? It's a way to put an end to money laundering and different other illegal and illicit activities that goes on in Asia. So for you to open a client's account, you have to run your KYC and your SOW, your source of wealth checks. But the reason why we have these regulatory checks is to ensure that the person that is coming in or the person you're onboarding has a great record. But however, because of this regulation battle or this regulation backlog, now Credit Suisse is losing customer. And this is a real shame for Credit Suisse because they've been having issues of their own in the past in operations, and they've been a bit underwater for a minute. So this is basically affecting them. Now, the issue we are hearing from Asia is people are waiting 8 months before they get their bank account open, which obviously doesn't help with service delivery. And now they're having an issue with that. But the truth is that they have to follow the due procedure. So I think they have to go back to the drawing board and speak to other stakeholders and ensure that they are, what do I call it, easier, simpler processes to ensure that the consumer, that's the customer, the banks, and also the reason behind this regulation checks does not really be counterproductive to the banking system in general.
Opeoluwa Dapo Thomas, International Financial Analyst, joining us live from London. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much.